Hi, I'm Wayne Jennings with another action camera review. Today I'm looking at the Campark V40 action camera. Now, this little camera has a lot of features that are found in other cameras out there, like it'll shoot 4K video, it'll do time-lapse and slow motion, it shoots still photos up to 20 megapixels in size. But this camera has a couple key features that sets it apart from the competition. The first being it has two view screens. So there's your traditional screen on the back, but there's this little screen on the front, which is perfect if you want to do a selfie, or you're doing video blogs and you want to make sure you're framed properly, or what you're talking about is in fact over your shoulder. You can see exactly on the front screen how it's going to look. To me, that's a game changer. The other really impressive feature is this camera is waterproof. Now, I don't mean with a housing, I mean it's waterproof as it is, down to a depth of 10 meters. The Campark V40 action camera utilizes an iCatch V39A processor, combined with a 170-degree wide-angle lens, allowing this little camera to capture video at resolutions of 720 at 60 and 120 frames per second, 1080 at 30 and 60 frames per second, 2.7K video at 30 frames per second, and 4K video at 30 frames per second. It will also record still photos in resolutions up to 20 megapixels in size. It's waterproof without a housing to a depth of 10 meters, and it features a dual front and rear view screen. All this at a retail price between $130 and $160 US. Now let's check out some of the video recorded with the Campark V40 action camera. The Campark V40 action camera does a really nice job recording 4K video. Check out some of these nice fall colors. The camera comes in a well-equipped kit with all the accessories shown here. As mentioned before, the camera itself is waterproof down to 10 meters. But for added protection, there is a housing that will let you take it to a depth of 40 meters. There's a nice selection of mounting hardware, including some tripod adapters, and a couple of self-adhesive quick-release base plates with some extra adhesive tape. You get various straps, Velcro strips, and zip ties to help secure your camera. And it comes with this handy 2-button remote control. The camera ships with 2 batteries. They're 3.7 volt lithium ion rated at 1,350 milliamp hours. And you also get a USB charging cable. You get a detailed full-color user manual, and it even comes with a handy lens cleaning cloth. The camera itself is very attractive looking in this black finish. It has a good heft to it. It does not feel light and plasticky at all. It feels very durable. And it's kind of got this rubberized finish around the outside that gives you a good grip. The front, of course, is dominated by the wide-angle lens, and there is a view screen. We'll get into that in a moment. Let's check out the bottom here. We have a metal tripod socket. That's always a nice feature to see. And beside it this is the battery door. You push the button and slide it, and it's got a metal hinge on there, and it's got this gasket that keeps it waterproof. That's where your battery can be found, as well as your micro SD card in there. So that keeps everything nice and dry. On the far side here, there's another little door. I won't open that, but behind there, again, it's waterproof. Your USB port and your HDMI port. Above it is a little speaker, also waterproof. On the top of the camera, we have a couple buttons. There's your shutter release, and this button toggles between the front and the back view screen. There's a little tiny microphone between the two. On the far end here is your power button, so we'll just push that. You hold it for a second, and there's your splash screen. And this is a touch screen, so it's easy to navigate. If you hit the gear icon, you get your menu, and you can, of course, scroll through there, make different changes. You know, if you want to change the resolution, you just scroll the one you want, select it. There's also a sub-menu with, other selections you can make. Very extensive. When you first power the camera on, it already defaults to the video mode, but by sliding to the side, you can switch to the photo mode, slide to the side, and it goes back to the video mode. There's also a quick menu. If you slide up from the bottom, you can go in and quickly change things like doing time-lapse or slow motion or connecting to Wi-Fi. So that's a nice feature to have. Now, like I said, this does have a view screen on the front, which is really handy. And to do that, you just push this button on the top here, hold it for a second, and the camera toggles to the front screen. So as you can see, I can see myself in there. So it's great for framing your shots, making sure you got lots of headroom. So that's a really nice feature to see in this camera. This camera does a great job capturing time-lapse sequences. You can set the camera to record a single video frame every 1, 3, 5, 10, 30, or 60 seconds. Still photos can be taken at a resolution of 2, 5, 8, 10, 14, 16, or 20 megapixels. There is also a burst photo mode, a slow shutter photo mode, as well as a self-timer function. There are 2 slow motion settings on this camera. One lets you shoot at 1080 at 60 frames per second to give you a nice half-speed result. The other setting records at 720 at 120 frames per second. This gives you a quarter speed result. However, I found this setting produced video that was far too soft for my liking. The camera will also shoot fast motion video up to 15 times normal speed. Although this is an automatic camera, there are a few adjustments you can make. Exposure can be increased or decreased by up to 2 stops in 1-stop increments. White balance can be set to auto or daylight, shade, tungsten, or fluorescent. And the ISO can be set to auto or 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600, or as high as 3200 ISO. Here's a little audio test of this camera. Now, just to let you know, right now I'm using this. This is a digital audio recorder to record my voice. I use this on all my productions to get good, clean sound, but I will turn this off in a moment, and then you hear my voice as the camera picks it up, and you can compare the two. So let me just stop this. Okay, that's turned off. Now what you're hearing is my voice as the camera picks it up. Now, I'm not far away, basically at arm's length, and it's a pretty calm day out here. So, you can hear me, it's understandable, the audio's pretty good, but it tends to record at a lower level, so I have to boost it in post-production. And when you do that, sometimes it brings up that background hiss, which is kind of undesirable. This Campark action camera can be operated from a distance using the included remote control that you can wear on your wrist like a watch. There's basically two buttons on here. If you push this top one, this LED lights up and the camera begins recording video. Hit it again and it stops. The bottom button here, if you push it, again the LED lights up and the camera will snap a still photo. If you want more control of this camera remotely, you've got to download the app and connect using Wi-Fi. And as you can see, you've got an image on here of what the camera sees, so that's really nice. And if you turn it this way, the image flips, so it's a nice big picture. If you hit that red button, it'll start recording video, and you can also take still pictures from here as well. You can go in and change things. There's a button there that will let you change the photo and video resolutions. There's another menu up here where you can go in, you can scroll through and make all kinds of changes to the camera. There's also a button down here, which if you hit that, it may take a few seconds to load, but basically it's going to load all the images and photos that you've taken on the memory card, and it will display them on here. And you can scroll through there, take a look and see your photos, your videos, play them back, and check out and see exactly what's on the camera. This camera has a built-in electronic image stabilizer. Now, right now that feature is off. I'm just walking across this yard, holding the camera at arm's length on a selfie stick, just to give you an idea how the camera performs without any stabilization. But what I'll do is I'll go back, I'll retrace my steps with the image stabilizer turned on, and then you can see if it does in fact make a difference. So now the electronic image stabilizer is turned on. It smoothed things out a bit. Now you also notice the image is a little tighter here. These systems always tend to crop your image a bit to attain the stability because they're electronic, they're not optical. But as you can see, it definitely helps out. Maybe not as good as, say, a powered gimbal, but it definitely helps to smooth out these handheld shots. A lot of these small action cameras have extremely wide angle lenses, which is great because it lets you capture a lot in your image. However, they tend to distort the image somewhat and give you a bit of a fisheye look. You notice the horizon behind me, it's higher in the middle and lower on the edges. Now, there is a function in this camera called distortion correction. When you turn it on, it will level out that horizon. So let's turn it on and see if it does in fact make a difference. So now I've turned on the distortion correction function, and as you can see from the horizon behind me, things are nice and flat and level. You get rid of that wide angle fisheye look. The other nice thing about this feature is you can use it when shooting both videos and photos. In conclusion, I am really impressed with the quality of the Campark V40 action camera. This little camera does a great job recording all video resolutions, with one minor exception. I found the high-speed slow motion, that's shooting 720 at 120 frames per second, was just way too soft for my liking. But everything else looked really good. The still pictures were nice and sharp, good color saturation. But what I really like about this camera are those two features that sets it apart from others. One being the fact that, of course, it is waterproof without a housing down to 10 meters. So that's great if you're out on the ski hill, or you're out and it starts raining, or you're in your kayak and you get splashed. It's not going to get damaged. But the main thing that really sets this camera apart from the others is the fact that it's got a view screen on the front and the back. So that's perfect for doing video blogs where you want to frame yourself and whatever's behind you. To me, that is a game changer. That sets this camera apart from others, and it's really worth the investment.